that sent shockwaves through
Oh
the
my God.
Jehovah's Witnesses. A letter that allegedly urged elders to tamper with potential evidence of damning claims against the church. Tonight, 2 former members tell their stories in hope justice will prevail.
David, what was your childhood like?
Horrific. They should be destroyed once
They're words that should never have been put on paper.
we take this opportunity to send our warm Christian love and greetings.
A letter sent to Jehovah's Witness elders, which to victims seems like a request that evidence be tampered with. It's difficult to hear and even harder for David to read.
Being a Jehovah's Witness is one of the hardest things to be as a child.
Are they potentially destroying evidence?
I think that there is a potential that they are destroying evidence.
David Bonici's memories haunt him.
Started very young.
David claims a male relative subjected him to years of physical and sexual abuse. His earliest memory is from when he was just 4. He says his sister Danielle, who took her own life 12 years ago, was also abused.
If we didn't participate, we would be locked in a cupboard for days.
As loyal Jehovah's Witnesses, speaking up would bring disrepute on his family. But despite that, David claims he raised the alarm time after time.
I thought it was normal. I thought it was, at first I thought it was part of the church until I started to speak up to Dennis.
David and his family were members of this Jehovah's Witness church here in Toowoomba for several years. He says during that time, the elders of this community were made aware of the alleged abuse he claims he was suffering. We tracked down Elder Dennis Davies to ask him some questions. Are you calling David a liar, Dennis?
No, I'm not calling him a liar. People have perceptions about things, and it's well known that those perceptions can be embedded in a person's mind.
He was our leader. He was the man that we went to for questions, for guidance.
David claims on 2 separate occasions he lived with Dennis for months, while Dennis and the organisation investigated his family. But David says he was always returned home. David is now suing the Jehovah's Witness Church for compensation. Did you feel safe with Dennis?
Kinda, and there were, times that I wasn't being listened to, and it was a very strict household.
What were you hoping would come from your time with Dennis?
Being rescued.
There was never any suggestion that he was being either physically or sexually abused. Never. And I was aware of an unhappy relationship in the family, and that was all.
Did you ever do anything about that? Did you ever look a little bit further into that unhappy relationship?
It wasn't my prerogative to do that.
Was the information you shared with Dennis Davies ever reported to police?
Never.
It was never an issue. We took the children...
Dennis, with all due respect, a child comes to you and tells you that he has been sexually abused. You don't bother to investigate the issue.
Just listen to me.
Yeah.
Nothing ever suggested that there was any sexual abuse or physical abuse.
He knows far more than he's alluding.
From a child's perspective, I lived in fear.
David's experiences are all too familiar for Shelly Braieoux, who was raised as a Jehovah's Witness and was physically and sexually assaulted by her father. Shelly says she reported the abuse to the elders within her community.
They set up a meeting with elders. That meant that 3 men, they were my father's age, they were his friends, and they questioned me.
What sort of questions did they ask you, a teenager?
They asked me whether or not I enjoyed it. What did I do? How did I react to that? And they would repeat the questions over and over.
Shelly's father was disfellowshipped, but not for the allegations she made against him. Instead, because he had an affair. He was later reinstated into the religion with a range of restrictions.
Restrictions are, I'll be really clear, not handing a microphone around at the Kingdom Hall. Restrictions are that they might not be able to answer a question publicly. Well, they might not be able to give a talk. So when Jehovah's Witnesses actually refer to a lot of restrictions, well, I mean, you be the judge of that. If that's really some type of punishment that would deter them from sexually assaulting again.
The perm was a mistake.
Furious at how her case was handled, Shelly walked away from her religion, her family, and everything she'd ever known, and went straight to police.
She said, Shelly, that's a crime. That's a crime.
Natalie Bennett helped Shelly pursue her case against her father, who was eventually convicted of 5 counts of indecent assault and 1 count of attempted rape. Shelly was later one of 2 crucial witnesses who gave evidence against the Jehovah's Witnesses at the Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sexual Abuse. Today, she's a lawyer and an unsworn employee of Queensland Police.
When I talked before about the judicial